Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 2204. The topic is nutrition, and the title is Addressing Inconsistent Eating and Alcohol Consumption. I think this is going to be something a lot of people can connect with in the upcoming holiday season, is that we're going to be eating inconsistently, meaning some days overeating, some days undereating, and a little bit of a hodgepodge anywhere in between. And then also, if you do drink any alcohol, this is likely the season in which the consumption of alcohol increases in volume and frequency. So I wanted to address an issue that came up with a client undergoing this kind of same process. Share the message that they sent to me, I'll share the message I sent back to them, and then I'll teach on how we can kind of address this issue when we want to correct and kind of what do we do after the period of time of inconsistent eating and alcohol consumption. So the client message. Okay, she said hello. Okay, so yesterday and today, logged my food so far, and that would be in MyFitnessPal. So she gave me her username and password so I can log in and check her information every week. She said yesterday was bad, very bad. Cinnamon Toast Crunch and ramen noodles bad. We got back from a trip, and I ended up sick. So I had a horrible food yesterday morning and afternoon. I'm trying to take a 2-day approach. I saw this over the weekend. Give yourself 2 days to reach your goals. If you don't do well on day 1, you still have day 2. So yesterday was terrible. Today is much better. I've already hit my protein goal, 72 grams in MyFitnessPal, and I'm having chicken salad for dinner, which is great because that means she'll be up over that. And I'm going to get a walk in. I'm feeling better than yesterday, but not enough for a full workout. Also, I've decided to do a quote-unquote dry-ish December. My alcohol intake has been increasing, and I need to pull it back. So that should help. Overall, is there a calorie level I should try for? Or are we back in the baseline phase? I'm also up to 128 pounds. I've not weighed that much since I had a tiny human inside of me, so she has kids. So I'm somewhat frustrated. Couple things to unpack. I didn't send her what I'm about to say. I'll clarify what that is in a second. But being frustrated is kind of reasonable. However, if a person's been traveling a lot, they've been eating, everywhere under the sun and drinking a lot, it's of course you're going to gain weight. So I can understand that, the frustration in okay, this is where I'm at. Dang, this kind of stinks. But I wouldn't understand the frustration if it's how did I get here? So I think we know how we got here. And this is true for anyone. So I'm not picking on this person. It's unfortunate. It's just challenging. When we get out of our routine and we travel, you're going to have times where you miss a breakfast or you miss a lunch because you're running for the plane flight or you're busy doing this. But then when we do sit down, if it's at a restaurant, we're often having a meal that's maybe twice the calories we would normally have in a meal. So you're going to have periods of time where there's not enough calories coming in. And then periods of time where there's too many calories coming in for what you're doing. So we're not matching our caloric usage. We're under-eating and then overeating, then under-eating, then overeating. That is exactly why the body developed the ability to store body fat. It's 100% why. Because when we experienced moments of being underfed, what did we have to fuel our organs? What did we have to fuel the muscles to make movement? What did we what did we use for energy, right? So the body's well, holy crap. If the person isn't eating enough, how in the world am I going to run the organs and keep this person alive? Oh, okay. Well, there are moments when they eat more than they need. So they're eating 1,000 calories, but I only need 500. Instead of me just digesting and, getting rid of that extra 500, let me save that extra 500. So that's why we stored body fat. And then whenever we went to a period of under-eating again, the body said, hey, no worries, I've got the body fat. But maybe we used 100% of the body fat it had available. So it says, well, what if they have done a little bit more activity? What would I have used then? So now let me learn to store even more body fat. And then when we're underfed, sometimes we're underfed and just sitting. Sometimes we're underfed and walking around a mall. Sometimes we're underfed and working out in a fasted workout. We have differing degrees of how much energy we use in an underfed state. The body has to protect to what it believes the most you would possibly need, plus a little bit more. So when you work out in a fasted state, you're using an enormous amount of energy that you don't have. The body then finds any opportunity it can throughout the day to store momentary excesses to cover that gap that you created earlier in the day or whenever you did your fasted workouts. So fasted workouts and fasted activity, in a sense, re-solidifies and reinforces why our body stores body fat. This is why people who inconsistently eat gain body fat. They might say, well, I'm not even eating that much. And true, in a 24-hour period per day, you might not be eating much. But there are moments in the day you're not eating enough, and there are moments in the day you're eating too much. In those moments of too much, the body will save that to protect against the moments you're under eating, and it saves more than it believes it needs. Hence the addition of weight, the addition of body fat. So this is why she gained weight, even though she would probably report saying, I don't even feel like I ate that much. And when you look at her nutrition logging, there'll be some days she only ate maybe 800, 900 calories, other days 1,500, maybe another day 800, another day 1,400, and then another day an 1,800. Maybe she went out to a restaurant, had some cheesecake, had some other things. But then the next day they were super busy and she only ate 800 calories again. So when there's that large of a discrepancy, the body is going to want to protect those low days by storing any excesses of the high days. This causes increased body fat, which causes increased body weight. So when somebody's inconsistently eating or they believe they're actually under eating, this is why you can actually still gain body fat. We don't get fat only from overeating, like where somebody just sits down and eats fast food every meal and drinks 2 liters of soda. It's not only that makes our body weight go up. That's not the only reason why we gain body fat. We gain body fat also from inconsistent eating and actually even chronic undereating. So people don't have the associated awareness to know that there are many reasons why we accrue body fat other than simply just overeating. This is important to know because so many people believe the way to get rid of body fat would be the same advice in all scenarios. So in all scenarios, the advice the person hears is to eat less. Well, if you're overweight from chronic undereating, eating less makes it worse. If you're overweight from inconsistent eating, eating less makes it worse. So when someone's uneducated and inexperienced in working with other people, that's often the advice you'll hear is, well, just eat less for X amount of time, or, just eat this and it'll be some diet of lettuce only, or it's some type of restrictive eating advice. If that's the advice that you give to somebody, let's just turn it the other way, is if you know that you've been inconsistently eating and or chronically undereating, and you're not just pigging out on excess food every night, and that and somebody tells you to restrictively eat, that advice is crap. I get very, very, very frustrated when people give nutrition advice and they're not a nutritionist. I am not going to, if somebody tells me that they have plumbing problems, I'm not going to offer advice. I'm not a plumber. If somebody has car problems, I am not a mechanic. It frustrates me that people give nutrition advice when they're not a nutritionist. And the reason why it frustrates me so much is they hurt the person they're trying to help. When you give incorrect advice to someone, not only do you hurt them, as in what you tell them doesn't work, you hurt them emotionally and mentally because what you tell them doesn't work and they blame themselves. Like something must be wrong with me. When it's not them, it's just the advice was shit. It makes me really mad. And the other part that makes me mad is because the person offering the advice often just wants to feel something good about themselves. I just want to feel smart. I want to feel useful. So therefore, I'm going to say this and this and this. They're not even paying attention to whether it's actually the right thing to say or whether they're actually qualified to say it. So it's incredibly, incredibly frustrating. The reason why I want to make today's podcast is this is often what people run into, is inconsistent eating, leading to them being overweight. They try to then eat less. It doesn't work, and they find themselves stuck. So how do we get unstuck? Let me read the message that I wrote back to the client, and then I'll break down some steps for you. So I said hello and then their name. Our calorie target should be 1,300 to 1,600 calories. Our protein target should be 80 grams minimum. I'll give you a second here. I'll explain in a second. I'll explain where I came up with those numbers. So that may seem like a lot of calories, but 1,300 is your estimated BMR. That's your basal metabolic rate. That's the amount of calories you need simply to be alive. Just if you were to lay in bed with your eyes closed, that's how many calories you burn by simply being alive. So I wrote, that may seem like a lot of calories, but 1,300 is your estimated BMR. Meaning eating less than 1,300 would cause the body to metabolize muscle tissue and store all momentary calorie excesses as body fat. Being consistent between 1,300 to 1,600 would signal to the body that you are getting sufficient caloric energy and fat formation is no longer necessary. Limiting alcohol is a great idea. Alcohol adds calories, which can contribute to fat formation if in a momentary excess. And alcohol decreases body fat utilization while the alcohol is in our system. Our body will burn the alcohol calories, not stored body fat. It also has a negative impact on hormonal balance of testosterone and estrogen, which further contribute to reduced body fat loss and increased body fat formation. So less alcohol equals more fat loss. As for what you eat, even if it's ramen noodles and cinnamon toast crunch, what we care about is hitting our calorie and protein targets. So whatever food it takes to do so is okay. As for reaching our goals, something I consider when I'm struggling, what would I do otherwise? Often the best thing to do, even if we're screwing it up and are inconsistent, is still the best thing to do. Do what you can, learn from mistakes, and try again tomorrow. Repeat that for life, and you'll have a good life. Happy to hear from you. So that was the advice I gave. Essentially what's happening is her calories are often under what she needed and sometimes over what she needs. So we need to reduce the extreme variance. We want to just be right in the middle, right what her body needs every day. The protein is related to 0.6 grams per pound of lean muscle tissue. So that's going to be roughly what she needs. And also, I know that she has chronic issues with shoulders, kind of muscle and connective tissues feeling like arthritic and sore. So she's going to need protein to make sure that she's repairing those tissues. So 80 grams as a minimum is, in my opinion, truly a minimum. She would benefit from more than that. But let's just aim for that. So we get there first, then we can kind of move up. This is essentially what most people need to do when they are finding themselves overweight from inconsistent eating and excessive alcohol consumption. The alcohol, just drink less. However the hell you do it, the less you drink, the better. There's really no positive aspect to alcohol when it comes to body composition. As for inconsistent eating, you can go to calculator.net and search for their BMR calculator. You can put in your age, your gender, your height, your weight, and estimated body fat percentage, or you can use one of the calculations that doesn't need body fat percentage. And it will give you a range of calories related to your BMR. So for this client, I put in all her numbers, and her BMR is 1,311 calories. So I just rounded that to 1,300. Her activity level, that gives you a chart then where it tells you how many calories you need if you live a sedentary lifestyle, or if you exercise 1 to 3 times a week, or 4 to 5 times a week, or 6 to 7 times a week, or if you have an intense daily exercise or physical job. So you can kind of pick and choose where you would fall in energy and activity-wise. But what I would recommend at first, if you're addressing inconsistent eating, is to aim for between the BMR and sedentary lifestyle. So for her sedentary lifestyle calories are estimated around 1,573. So I rounded that up to 1,600. So we're staying between her BMR and sedentary lifestyle. I know that on some days she'll struggle to eat up enough to get to her BMR. On very few days, maybe she'll struggle to stay under the 1,600, but I know that she's going to struggle to at least get to 1,300 on most days. But that's where she needs to be. If she's eating below her BMR, her body will not willingly stop forming new body fat. It will continue to fight for body fat, and it will reduce all non-essential calorie allocation to all non-essential processes. So, for example, her shoulder is going to continue to always hurt. If her lack of energy, her arthritis, all that stuff is continue to feel like crap. She's not going to feel her best. She's going to need more and more caffeine, more and more whatever the hell else she uses to try to make up for it. We need to get to at least our BMR to start to create a healthier body. Then, as the person is able to do that, say they're able to do it for 4 weeks pretty consistently, then you can move between sedentary calories and whatever activity level matches. So, for example, she exercises 4 times a week in an ideal world. So she might then switch from eating 1,300 to 1,600 to now eating between 1,600 and 1,900 calories, because that 1,900 matches her exercise needs if she were exercising 4 times a week. So that's essentially the process you want to go through, is use the BMR calculator, enter your personal data, then at first use the range between your BMR and sedentary lifestyle. Be consistent with that for 4 weeks, and then move to the range between your sedentary lifestyle and then whatever actually matches your normal activity level. At first, your body weight might actually go up, and that makes sense. Your body is a dried sponge that has not been fed. So at first, what happens is called delayed metabolic allocation, is your body is typically saying, okay, if I'm bringing in X number of calories, I can send calories to grow the nails, I can grow the hair, I can grow the skin, I can balance pH levels in the blood, I can balance body temperature, I can repair this tissue that seems like to be frustrated, annoyed, inflamed. So it starts sending calories everywhere. If you've been chronically underfeeding the body by inconsistent eating, it's not going to, at first, quote unquote, spend those extra calories. When you bring the calories in, it's going to just say, hold on a second. Let's see if this is for real. Let's see if this is true. Is this just a normal high day that they have every once in a while? Or is this going to be a new and consistent thing? That then lets the body trust the new intake, and then it'll start spreading the calories out as it should, and you'll start to lose body fat and become leaner. That can happen as quickly within a single week, or it might take a couple weeks depending on how chronic or how long you've been inconsistently eating. You also are going to have increased water retention simply by having more food coming in, and you'll have increased weight due to unprocessed food. Like you're just now eating more food that you haven't maybe gone to the bathroom and gotten rid of yet. So the weight's going to go up a little bit. Might go up 1 pound, 2 pounds, never know. Normal fluctuations, normal amount. So that's what we need to do. Use the BMR calculator, find out our proper ranges, understand that at first the weight might go up a little bit. And then I would remember the advice. What would I do otherwise? Eating less didn't help. Eating more certainly isn't going to help. So what option do you have left? Is eating what you need. No more, no less, just eat what the body actually needs. There's no fancy, I gotta do this, and then this diet, then that diet. Stop doing crazy, weird, dumb, extreme things. Just give the body what it needs. Be kind to your body and just feed the damn thing consistently. Be nice to it. If you want it to look nice, feel nice, and everything go well, just give your body some damn normalcy. Stop all the crazy stuff. Just give it consistent calories, consistent protein. Let the body heal. You'll look better, you'll feel better. A lot of good things will happen. So that's the advice that I gave to the client. That's the advice that you can use if you need to address inconsistent eating and alcohol consumption. If you have any questions, if you need anything, let me know. My email is brutalironjim@gmail.com. If you like the podcast, please share the podcast. The more people we help, the more people that are aware of the podcast, the more people we can help. So sharing it does help a lot of people. Share it on social media, reaches the most people. Sharing a conversation with somebody, just let people know the podcast exists and that it's here to help them. And then if you like the podcast, you can donate on our website if you'd like to do that to help cover some of the hosting costs. Or you can go to NutriCost.com, which is a supplement website, and you can use the code BrutalIron10, and you can get a discount on supplements, and then 10% of what you buy gets sent to us as a commission. So that's another way to donate to the podcast if you'd like to do that as well. Then if you like the information we share in the podcast, you can find new and different information from us every single day on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.